I'm going to record this. This will be the June social support webinar for VA Social Studio users. Dom and I were just chuckling. We recognize attentions might be drawn away because of D-Day and Mission Act launch. But we're going to record this because the whole genesis of this support webinar this month is thinking about you, the end user, and just walking you through the platform. We're going to give you the example of the Mission Act, but it could be really for any event. So why don't I just kick it off? So my name is Brett Shippey. I'm a marketing cloud account executive. I support the VA, the whole VA, whether it's VACO, VBA, BHA, and we have users of this social platform within all the different aspects of the VA. Tara, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Tara Kraus. I've been with Salesforce for almost 8 years now, and I've worked on the social side the entire time. So I'm currently a success specialist that's helping customers onboard to the tool.
Yeah, so if you think about it, I have direct relationship to the VA where Tara is a Social Studio product expert. So thank you for joining, Tara. And Dom, I don't know if you need an introduction, but let's give you one. Go ahead.
A little bit, maybe. My name is Dominic Ramirez. I work on the digital media engagement team in the Office of Public and Intergovernmental Affairs. And I was part of the team that rolled out Salesforce Social Studio at OPIA and helped others throughout VA to get themselves set up and kind of provide some support and training. Not that that's really my responsibility, but it's something that I can do and I have done to help people get up and running. One thing before you go any further, I just wanted to ask, the camis and the nurses scrubs on this graphic, did you guys do that specifically for this event, this webinar?
Nope, this isn't just for this event. We know this event touches all aspects of the VA, and one of my coworkers who specifically covers VHA, this is his head slide, and I thought it was a great slide.
I thought it was nice. Yeah. It's a cool slide.
Yeah, I agree. I stole it. That's Cody. So if you guys, or this is Astro actually. So if you guys come to a Salesforce event, there's a lot of these characters that represent different aspects of the platform. You get familiar with them. Yeah. Okay. I would also say, Dom, yes, a social guru, but Dom, you've done a great job being a technologist, really, since day one, really running at this platform hard, learning it. It's constantly evolving, as you could probably share with everybody, and a great resource for the VA. So thank you for your attention to that. I'll just kick it off. We're not going to do a lot of stuff here in the beginning. A lot of people have been on this webinar before. This might be the 7th or 8th webinar that we've done. But happy June 6th. It's a beautiful day here in the nation's capital. Happy Mission Act launch day. I know that was a top of mind for a lot of folks leading up to today, right? The focus of our attention. Yeah. But I'm sure you would echo this, Dom. Thank you for all the hard work that you've put forth to push content in the effort to educate your communities about the Mission Act. And in recognition of this real life event, we're going to take June's support webinar, and we're going to cover all aspects of Social Studio, right? We recognize that you might be sitting at your desk when a campaign like this crosses your desk and you're asked to, push it out to your communities. So where do you start? And so what Dom's going to cover is really the push aspects, right? Can you go to Slack? Do you have access to Slack? Can you go to the shared social content folder as really a starting point for content creation? How do you create the post? How do you schedule the post? And then how do you look at the reach of the analytics, right? So we're talking about the push aspects. And then what Tara is going to do is she's going to show you on the flip side of that, how you understand your audiences and what they're talking about related to the Mission Act, either from a high level or within your communities. And so we'll look at the analytics and the reports to be able to share with leadership if you want to. So when we look at social, like I said, we're going to cover all aspects. Dom's going to cover the publish. We're going to cover, Tara's going to cover the analyze aspects. Yeah, so without further ado, Dom, do you want to also maybe just mention the YouTube page that people could find this recording on while I turn it over to you?
Sure. Yeah, I create, like, I have a bunch of interns that work on our team through the Virtual Student Federal Service Program, and oftentimes what I will do is create videos, YouTube videos out of these webinars and share them there for my interns. I have shared the videos within our VA social media Slack team, Slack channel in the past, and I plan to do so in the future as well. Actually, this is actually from, I'll stop the playing, but this is actually from the April Social Studio user webinar that we did. The channel is called DME Interns, and I publish these over there. I haven't published a whole lot yet, but so I've gotten 2 of these videos up here, and it's just for our team's interns. It's not like an official channel, but here, this is the link. Maybe I can share that in Slack later. I'll share it in Slack right now, actually. And if you didn't know, we have a VA social media Slack channel. So if you're not a member of that, maybe you should consider becoming one. But now the link is in there and you can go and check that out.
Thanks, Dom.
You're welcome. So look forward to seeing this video on this YouTube channel, or this webinar on the YouTube channel in the near future. So what I wanted to do was kind of show you guys some of the basic aspects of the publishing tab here in Social Studio. And I know we've covered this topic before, but we are continuing to roll out like new workspaces and add new users. So it's good to kind of refresh and show the new folks how to use this. However, one of the things that one of the reasons that we mentioned specifically the Slack team is because if you weren't aware, on Slack, a lot of the VA social media teams, people have been joining the Slack team, and one of the things that we do is we share content in this channel called observances. And one of the reasons that's awesome is because like there are just certain events every year that the VA observes, and our social media teams are, you expect to have to share something on the topic. And so one of the things we do is kind of share like things like this potential D-Day content, like, Richard Winters, from the series Band of Brothers, like we actually wrote up a story about him, but here's Charles Shea, he was at D-Day. Here's a song from Operation Song called D-Day Plus One, and a video that we created about Charles Shea. So there's a lot of stuff about D-Day. Also, Kobe shared this stuff, this link to the ptsd.va.gov information from the National Center for PTSD. So actually, I have downloaded that, and it's just chock full of content that you can use. And that's one of the observances. It's National PTSD Awareness Month. Like if you go over to blogs.va.gov right now, you'll note that we actually updated the banner. Like it's, PTSD Awareness Month. So I figured since we didn't roll out any, unfortunately, any social content for the D-Day or, well, I mean, I shared some potential content for D-Day, but for the Mission Act, I don't know why they didn't do that, but anyway, there's no official, like, nobody shared, hey, here are the tweets and Facebook posts for the Mission Act. One thing I figured I'd do, wow. So somebody's on hold, maybe?
I'll look to see, Dom. Is that not on your end?
Is that over now? Never had that.
It is over, guys. If you're not talking, I believe I can mute everybody, but yeah, please go on mute. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, where was I? What I was saying is, since we didn't get any Mission Act content, which is what we're really going to be focusing on today, I figured the way that I can show off how to use this is to show how to schedule something around the PTSD awareness month campaign. So this is all like social media posts that were shared as part of this massive toolkit that Kobe shared in our observances channel in Slack. And so I just pull it up, boom, Facebook, Twitter, there's a bunch of stuff in here. So I'm just going to go over how you can schedule some of that and then add it to the shared content folder in Salesforce so that other people can benefit from your campaign content. So technically, if you have a workspace within Social Studio and you're already going to be scheduling this stuff to go out on your social account, why not just pop it in, pop it into the calendar, schedule it, and then share it to everybody. So that's what we're going to do. Hold on a second. Somebody's chatting me. I don't know. Anyway, somebody's asking me, I think, to share this. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hope and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. 75 years ago, Allied forces began Operation Overlord. The first major step in ending the rule. Sorry, this is a real-time event happening right now. So, yeah, this is gripping. I know. Sorry, they're asking me to publish this. Here, go. Where'd it go? Published. All right. So let's go back to what I was actually supposed to be talking about. Here's the Facebook post, and I'm going to schedule this for Facebook. Let's schedule it for a little bit later since there's a lot of stuff going on today. But let's say I want this to go out at 4 p.m. I click on the calendar. Let's go back to what I was just doing. There's a couple of ways to get into here to actually schedule content. You can click directly on the calendar and then choose what platform you want to post to. Or you can click this create content button, the green button right here, and that's another way that you can do it. Personally, and then you choose the platform that you want to publish to. I prefer to click on the calendar because it automatically populates the date and time of that you're going to publish when you click directly on the calendar. So that's what I'm going to show you. So you click on that and then click what platform you want. And then if you notice, you go down here, 4 p.m. June 6th. It's already ready to go. And where do you want to post it to? Now, it has this thing because if you are managing more than one Facebook page, then you have a drop down here. You click in this box and you can choose which Facebook account you want to share to. And then you have this content right here. So Command V, June is PTSD Awareness Month. Please help raise PTSD awareness and spread the word. That didn't come out very well. Help spread the word. All right, so looks like there was a formatting error. And then at VA PTSD. So here's another thing. You can actually, there's actually @ for Facebook pages. That's something to know. And if you were to, if you put in the @ it actually will link to that Facebook page. It's a little bit, got a little funky there. I just saved it as a draft. I don't know why I did that. I think I may need to redo that. Facebook post. Yeah, I don't know why I did that here. Instead of copying it, let me just, I guess I'll just retype it since it didn't want to copy and paste very well. June is PTSD Awareness Month, ! Help raise And here's the @ symbol, at VAPTSD. Oh, no. Message, or no, resources. And then it has a link here. So sorry this is taking longer than I expected here, but it didn't come out correctly the first time, so I want to get it right. And so then you got this little hyperlink, and it loads the resources. And then you make sure you choose your account name, right? And then you can add some labels. Now this is important if you want to be able to like create reports based on a label. So what a label is basically is, I like to equate it to sort of a hashtag for the back end of Social Studio. And it's a way for you to identify posts of a certain topic. And so if you wanted to say run a report based on the label, you can actually choose that label from the back end and create reports around that label. And that's great for a campaign, specifically, let's say PTSD. So let's actually, I can make a new label, National PTSD Awareness Month. Actually, I won't do national, let's just do PTSD Awareness Month. So if you create a label for your campaign, then you just add that to every post that has that, that supports that campaign, and you will be able to track metrics about every post, and you can actually, about all of them together, and get a feel for how well you did with your campaign. So I'm going to schedule this in Social Studio, and then you come out here and you'll see it's scheduled for 4 p.m. So if I load it up, let me double check that. I think that hyperlink didn't come through correctly. Yeah. All right. I'm going to fix this later. I don't want to deal with it right now. I don't know why I think it's because it is in a PDF, or this is in a PDF, and something to do with the formatting and how it like dropped it down to a new line. It didn't flow correctly. So this hyperlink actually got busted. And so I'm going to have to go and fix that later. But just to show you, here's an example. Once you create the post, you can even save it in draft format. So if I was to put it back to, I'm not going to do that right now, but if you wanted to just create it as a draft, you don't have to schedule it to go out. So here's another thing. If you click into the post right here, click on the post, you get all these post details, as it says. And then you can go in here and choose share content. And the reason that you'll want to share content is because you may want other people to be able to benefit from this post that you created. So I'm going to try to fix this here. Copy, here's a URL. I'm going to fix that. All right. And if you have images, you can add them. And then it's already got your campaign label on it. And then you choose who you want to share it with. I'm going to share it with Secretary of VA, because nobody's monitoring that but me. So Secretary Wilkie, you can use this content, apply. And now this is an invalid link. All right, well, we'll get rid of that. Cool. And you can set it to enable by a certain date and time if you want it, and disable at a certain date and time, like once the campaign's over. You can add comments like, hey, here's if this is a post for the PTSD awareness campaign, and then you can click save. Now, the cool thing is you go over to that account, and there's this little section called shared content. One of the ways that you'll know if you want to hop into shared content is if you see this little bell. It's a notification bell at the top. It tells you, hey, there's content, or there's stuff in there for you. If you want, you can go and look in shared content and find things. It can tell you other things as well, like you have a file ready for download. But this is basically alerts you that there's something that you should look into. And if you click on the bell, it'll tell you all the things that it wants you to know. In this case, I happen to know that there's something in shared content, but I can get to it from here if I want, by just clicking the bell and going in here. But another thing that I can do is click into shared content, and then I can just scroll and look through here. And I believe we have Dave, right? Is Dave on the line? Yeah, he's in. But he shares a lot of stuff, and that's awesome because I can just hop in here and grab this stuff and schedule it. So I just shared this one. Unfortunately, the link broke, but if I wanted to use it for a campaign, notice it's PTSD awareness. So if I wanted to, because this is full of stuff, and maybe there was a bunch of things that are not related to PTSD in here, and I wanted to narrow it down, I could just go into this little search box, and go PTSD and enter, or actually select that. So it doesn't have PTSD, but what about PTSD Awareness Month? PTSD Awareness Month. And notice it narrowed it down to just this one. And so if I'm looking for PTSD Awareness Month content to schedule on my channel, I can grab it from right there. But what if I'm looking for D-Day? Day. No, D-Day. That didn't work. Nobody shared D-Day content. This one's a veteran story. I should probably have added D-Day to it because it would have worked really well. But last Monday in May, it's Memorial Day. So that was another one that we could have used, Memorial Day.
Hey, Dom.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question related to this?
Sure.
Isn't there really only your guys' workspace?
Oh, no. First, question, who is speaking?
That's Kobe.
Kobe, what's up? All right, so the question was, is it just the digital media engagement team's workspace? And the answer is no. There are tons of workspaces now. There are more teams using Salesforce than you may be aware of. Here are all the workspaces. Being a super user, I have access to all of the workspaces. I obviously don't go in there and mess around with people's workspaces. But, if I needed to add somebody to a workspace, I could do so. But you see, you got mental health, Mission Act analytics. I think Tim Hudak set those up. NCA, OSDBU, Office of Research and Development, OIT, Secretary's account is in here, Sports for Vets, Vet Centers, VHA, VBA, VA Careers. There's a lot of workspaces. And so when I say that you share things.
The reason I ask is because I only see DME. And so if I went in here and I just went through the whole scenario you did, where I click on the calendar for a time and I schedule a post, and it's on the DME calendar. So my question would be, the point of sharing it would be to share it to other people's Facebook, and then they get or other people's workspaces, and then they get a notification, and then they can schedule it on their platform. And so the shared calendar only alerts you when you're logged in of things that people have shared to you.
Shared to your workspace.
Okay, now I'm clear. And Dom, I don't see any workspace other than ours. So if they did create that mental health one that you just showed, Red, I don't think ever got access to it.
Yeah, here's the issue. I remember I created a mental health workspace for you guys, but then you decided you didn't want to connect any of your accounts to it.
Okay, that's right. All right, yeah, I'm clear.
So I have it. It's here for you. It's waiting. It looks nice and cozy if you want to hop in. But there's nothing connected to it right now. So if you ever want to actually connect your social media accounts to it, then you might find that useful. So far, you're only connected to the DME workspace. And just so you know, if you wanted to, you could actually add your content to our calendar as a draft. I don't know if you have full access to actually publish. I'm pretty sure you don't. But if you wanted to just hop in here but if you wanted to just hop in here and add a bunch of Facebook posts as drafts, you could save those drafts. So you watch. Test. This is a test. So I'm going to save it as a draft, right? And if you wanted to schedule stuff in support of your campaign and add it to our calendar, since you have access, you can do that and then click on it as you can have it as a draft and then share it to shared content and share with, and you can choose everybody, and you can share it with literally everybody.
Right there.
And so, because I will tell you, you saw what I just had to do going through to get your stuff out of this PDF and into Salesforce. It broke the link. This word was combined with this word.
Yep.
Yeah. So this word was the word was combined with the word spread. So I had to go and fix that. And then the hyperlink got busted. And so if you were to just create these things, or assign a contractor to do so and just create the content within Salesforce and then share it to everybody else's workspace, I wouldn't have to do any of this. It would be so much easier for me to support your campaign. Specifically, if we had, say, I don't know, some Mission Act campaign content to speak of, if we had something like that, I could just go in here, and what I would do is just hop into shared content, and I would be, maybe search for Mission Act content in here, and then I would just click use this content, use this content, use this content, and I could just fill up my calendar with all sorts of stuff. That's what I did with Dave's content, his research content. I did it just yesterday. I filled it all the way up to Saturday with just research-related posts. And it was awesome. It really helped. It made it so much easier because right now we are slammed. But, so here's this PTSD awareness campaign. I can just click use this content, and I can even choose to use it on a different platform if I want. I can choose to send it out as a tweet if it fits. So like you can just create once, and if you create it small enough, like this one's probably, probably would fit. I can actually tweet it if I want to. But you get the idea. So
that helped me. No, thank you.
Yeah. And did you have any other questions about like how to create content within here? I'm going to delete this, by the way. About how to create content within Salesforce.
Not right now, no, sir.
Okay.
Hey, Dom, for the sake of time, that was great, right? Slack, the shared content folder, scheduling, creating the post. Maybe you could also just go into the reach of something that was sent out. So if somebody wants to be able to understand or pass up to leadership kind of the benefits of the reach, let's cover that, and then we can turn over to Tara for the analysis.
Okay, so kind of like how to show how your campaign is performed, basically. Is that like something that you're talking about?
Please. I think that'd be great. Yep.
Oh, okay. So there's a couple different ways to do it. I'm not going to get into the analyze section because Tara's going to cover that. But let's see, what have we been doing that actually has some content, some labels associated with it? There was Memorial Day. That was something that I can look into. Let me look at Memorial Day. Not shared content. See this little heartbeat looking thing right here? This is the performance tab, and this is what I like to use. And one of the reasons that I tell you guys to like add a label to your content in the back end is because it helps you narrow things down. And so if I click on this little heartbeat, and I clicked all platforms. You can choose just one if you want, but I chose all of them. And if you go into the filter section, let's see, I can choose a custom filter here. Maybe I want to do May 1st to May 30th. Oh, no, wait, that's June. To May 31st. And I want Memorial Day. Let's go with Memorial May, because that was like a campaign we did with NCA. Now, I will say that we didn't apply the filter. I tried to apply it to everything, but I wasn't the only one scheduling stuff. So, but if you get the idea, we did Memorial May. And if you click Apply Filter, you can see how many clicks. Like you can sort by, I think, well, if you export it, you can export a CSV file, and that can really help. But if you want, you can kind of just look in here. These are all posts that were labeled with Memorial May. So Veteran of the Day right here. Notice I added Memorial May. I also added NCA. So if you look on the Twitter or on the Instagram, it's the same person, Memorial May, NCA. And you can see this one got, 739 engagements, 12,868 impressions, and a reach of 10,578. But you can actually export all this data, which I like to do. And I'm going to export it as a CSV. And notice it's right there. Let me just open it up real quick and show you. And oh, it opened in a different window here. So these are all the posts. Unfortunately, not, like I said, not all of them got down, or not all of them had that Memorial May tag added to them. I tried to add it to all the ones that I posted, but you get the idea. If you were committed to adding all the tags, you can get this much more thorough report. And so I can just do a quick sum right here and enter, and then just copy this and paste it. You get the idea. I mean, I think I can just kind of paste it all the way across. But the point being, like, you can actually run a report and see, like, hey, you can report this up the chain. Hey, we got 5,097 clicks out of this Memorial May campaign. There are 598 comments and 650 favorites. Notice that depending on the platform, you have different stats that you can get from it. So, like, you know, Twitter may not, or Twitter may have favorites, but Facebook doesn't, or likes. You get the idea. Like, you know, Google Plus doesn't have, nobody else has +1s. You know, Google Plus doesn't exist anymore, really. But shares 749. That's mostly Facebook. Anyway, the idea is that you can run a report here and then export it and then show the results to you know, upper management, so that they can you know, so you can make yourself look good. And as long as you add those labels to the post, it makes it super easy for you to do it.
Dom, thank you. That was great. And a great example of what was kind of your focus last month. You know, there's other things that are focused this month, and there'll be more things of focus in July, right? It's the constant of social and content. So let's turn over to Tara. Tara's going to take really the pull aspects of the Mission Act and kind of show you some of the analytics that can be derived through this platform, through the digital listening component and some of the reports. And again, if there's any questions that you have, just post it in the chat window and we'll be able to answer them and leave some time at the end of the call to do that.
All right, let me see. Where are you? There you go. Tara, right? Yeah. There you go.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. All right. So just let me know when you can see my screen.
I can see it.
Excellent. So we're going to dig a little bit into the Analyze section now, and we'll start off with social listening. So it's obviously extremely important to check performance on your campaigns for that content that you are pushing out, but it's also good to keep an eye on what is being said about the particular topic, because conversation could be happening outside of your own channels on it. So that's where social listening comes in, and we can go ahead and build topic profiles to pull that data in. So the topic profiles section, for those of you who haven't kind of seen us go through this before, it is found in the admin area. And if you are someone who has access to building topic profiles, you can go in there and start building away. Now, I've already built one out related to the Mission Act, so that's the one that we'll be using today. But just to show you the keywords that I did input in here, it took me under 30 seconds to build this topic profile. So they can be quite quick to create, and it pulls the data in real time so you can see data immediately. The keywords that I inputted were just Mission Act on its own, and then Mission Act as one word, just in case anyone mentioned a hashtag or for some reason not mentioning it as two separate words, it will pull all of that conversation in. So what this means, these two words in here, is the post, in order for it to be returned, it would need to have one of these terms in it. So you can imagine an or between these. Now, if I wanted to dig within Mission Act conversation at some point, I could create another query where I use this second box. So we could have subtopics in there. But for now, we're just going to bring in all Mission Act mentions for now and see what we get. And just as a reminder for media types for social listening, because they do differ from those on the published side. So this is what we currently cover from a social listening perspective. And you can always let us know if you have questions about any of these. But you will be seeing a lot of content around some of these in some of these other media types that you wouldn't cover on the published side, like I said before, outside of your own channel. So let's take a look at what this data is showing us. So since I've already created this topic profile and I've shared it with the workspace that I'm working under, and this is actually a demo environment. Apologies, it's not your environment, but it's so you will see some travel content in here. But we use
Tara, you have a question.
Yeah. Check here.
Tim is asking if it excludes anyone who says the mission of this operation is to act appropriately. I think it has to do with proximity.
Okay, yeah, so we don't need to worry about that because what the post requires is it would need to say mission act just like that. Now, if we did use proximity, so this little squiggly line 0 that pops up with this term, if you click on it twice, the slider will appear. And if you use it, then that means you're giving the author of the post some flexibility in how they're using the words. So if we set it to 10, for instance, these two words would need to be in the post, but they would need to be within 10 keywords of one another. So we leave it at 0, so it needs to be mission act just like that. It
Very
cannot. Yeah. Good. Any other questions so far? Great. And if you do find a really common issue with, or I should say noise issue, then you can use this exclude box as well. So if there is just one topic that is causing, I'd say at least like 90% of your noise, go ahead and add it in here, and then that would remove all posts that relate to that particular issue topic. Now, I will keep all languages, all media types, and all regions in here for now, but you do have the option to filter those as well. But I always like to run the topic profile first to see where the content falls, and then we can decide to remove after that. Okay, and we have a follow-up question. No, we're good. All right. So we're going to jump into Analyze, and to visualize the data, you can do that in either the workbenches or the dashboards. And I have set up a workbench here just to drill into the data. So anytime I'm looking at a topic profile to see what the data is pulling for the first time, I typically do go into the workbenches just to make sure that it's clean. When I'm ready to do a report, that's when I'll jump into the dashboards and start setting that up. But that comes down to personal preference. I'm just sharing kind of my best practices. So the workbenches, the big difference here is these are not something that you can share. It's a place where you can go in and create drill downs into the data. So in this case, we're looking at the topic profile data. So anytime someone mentioned Mission Act, and I'm just going to refresh this first card. So it pulls in the most recent. And we have a few cards that I've already started to pull here, but pulling the data is pretty easy. All you need to do is click Add New Data Set and then select the topic profile. So I've added this VA Mission Act profile to this workspace that I'm working under, and so I will see it in the list. If you don't see it in the list, that means you need to go back to the admin section and add that profile to your workspace. So that's what I've gone ahead and done here. And to drill into the topic, you just click on that first card, and there are plenty of drill down options. Some more relate to the engage side. So you will see metrics in here like assignment and author labels. They're not as applicable for social listening. So play around with these to see the data that is available. But commonly when we're pulling metrics related to campaigns, we will look at a volume trend to see how that how the conversation is trending, if there are any major spikes. If there are major spikes, then you can drill into those by looking at the straight feed of post, or if there's a lot of volume, maybe you don't want to go straight to the feed, so you'll look at maybe the top words instead for that particular period of time. So the workbenches just really allow you to continue to drill into the data. So great way to look into any research topics that you may be interested in. So you can see those top words from that particular point. And you can actually backdate the topic profile as well with the support team. So if you were looking for data as far back as 3 years, they can do that for you. So if you did want to do a report on an entire year, you have that ability to access that data. But by default, it will give you 30 days worth of historical data. And you can also choose a custom date range too if there's a campaign period or whatever it may be. Just going to pause here to see if there's any questions. All right, so I've created a couple of other charts here too, some of my favorites. So I also did the top hashtags. So these are the hashtags that are currently being used within that Mission Act conversation. And all of these charts you can export into CSV if you are someone who's a fan of creating your own. So exporting the data, you can then create your own charts, put them into PowerPoint, whatever makes sense for you. And if you ever need to dig into this data a little bit more, you can go to the inspect, or you can just click on a piece of the card itself and go to view feed, and it will bring it into a more focused view for you. So if we want to see what people are using hashtag Mission Act, what types of posts, we can see that here. Scroll through them, or if there are any other ones in here that are of interest. Great. And on the post, you'll notice sentiment is running in the background, so that will be assigned. So you are able to pull sentiment as a metric for all of this conversation, and also the influencer score. So for any Twitter user that's popping up in here, and you'll notice here, this is where social listening comes into play, where it's really helpful because they may not necessarily be mentioning any accounts directly or your account directly, so you wouldn't pull this conversation in unless you were setting up the listening query. And this influencer score represents that Twitter users' reach on Twitter, so how influential they are on Twitter. So that score can be really helpful to take a look at as well. There is a card in the dashboard that will actually rank some influencers, which I'll show you in a second as well.
So, hey, Tara, what if there was like a veteran who was talking about the Mission Act confused, right? And somebody came across that post. Like, what are the different options for them to bring it to somebody's attention, maybe to respond back? If you don't want to touch that now, maybe something to think about as we're going through this overview.
No, I think that's a really good point because a lot of people don't realize social listening obviously is really important for reporting, to monitor content ongoing, for campaigns, whatever it may be, but you can also use social listening for engaging on Twitter specifically. So Twitter does allow us to respond directly. So if you did see a post that you wanted to jump in on, you can create an engage column and pull that data in and technically respond from your account onto that tweet. So, that is something that if it's part of your social protocol, it is available as well. Is that what you kind of meant, Brett, or sorry if I misunderstood?
That's what I meant, but also right now that's in the front of everybody's mind. So there might be a lot of activity coming in for that. So you could actually automate, right, a different column that's just looking at people that are responding and having questions, related to the Mission Act.
Yeah.
Just to kind of spearhead and create a better experience overall.
Exactly. So you can definitely automate that with the automation tool that we have, Social Studio Automate, and that's a really good point. And you can also edit your topic profiles to only show Twitter data and also to not show retweets, so it can clean it up a bit for you there, or refine your topic profiles so it's only pulling in Mission Act conversation related to those specific topics that you're interested in. So you could add some secondary keywords in there, and that way it would refine it as well. So there are lots of different options for sure, whether you want to set it up in the profile level or automate it.
Great explanation. Thank you.
No problem. And I did do the media type breakdown. So the majority of the conversation is happening on Twitter, and that's quite normal. As with social listening, we have access to the entire Twitter Firehose, so it's a lot of data. Usually it's all public. Or Facebook, we have access to those public pages, and you can scroll in and check these out to see what they are. It's nice to see the breakdown. Note that Instagram is not listed in here. Due to Instagram's recent changes, we had to move the hashtag listening from Instagram into its own section. So that's found in the admin section now where you can set up those hashtags. And I did set one up earlier, so I'll show you that in a second. But sentiment would be that last one that I find really helpful. And all of the cards you can take a look at by the segment or by trend. So if you wanted to see over time how the sentiment looked, and you can export this data, you can drill into it, get a bigger view here if you wanted to screenshot it. You can always export the feeds as well that are alongside of the points that you're interacting with. So if you would like to export the raw data, you can do that here into CSV, or you can make a more formal report and send it as PDF in our report section. So this is really the area that you drill into data, but if you're just looking to do a quick report, if the topic profile data looks good, you're happy with it, you're ready to do a report, you can go into the dashboard section in Analyze. And I did create this Instagram one so far, but I'm just going to go ahead and create a normal social listening one to show you how quick this is. So once you created that topic profile, you can go into the dashboard section and go into social listening summary, find your topic profile, and then it will populate data for 7 days in this templated report, which is still interactive, just like the workbenches. So you can click on pieces of it. It will bring it into a more focused view. And you can also edit this template. So if you'd like to show a different date range, you can do that. You can also edit the cards. So if you don't like some of them, maybe you're not interested in showing the demographics, for instance. So you can take out the country or the languages by clicking the little edit button on the top right. And keep in mind that any of the dashboards, you can create PDF reports from that would send through email, where the report actually takes each one of these cards and puts it on its own page. So it's very clean. It's not just a straight screen grab of all of this.
Is there a city geographic breakdown in the dashboard instead of countries?
Not in the dashboards. Now, in the workbenches, we do have access to third-party demographic data. That being said, it's Twitter only. That's the only source that they have access to. And I'll show you what that looks like. So you can go into basic demographics here and then go into location. And the source that we pulled is
exportable as well with a PDF.
No. So this one you can only export to CSV, and you can only export the aggregate because of privacy laws. So you can't actually get into the details. So you'll notice if you click on, like, let's click on Dallas and go to the feed, it will tell me the privacy restriction. I can't actually see the data. So yeah, due to privacy concerns, we can't drill in any more than this. Yeah. Great question, though. So that is available to you. Some clients do find it helpful. If you do have a topic that there is a lot of data like this one, then it definitely can be interesting. But back to that dashboard. So if I decided to keep all of the cards in here and I wanted to maybe also add a few cards, I can do that as well by clicking the edit button on the top. And what's great about this is you can add additional social listening cards, or you can also add social account cards. So if you wanted to bring some of that performance data that we talked about before, you can do that as well. So that's an option. I won't do that because, of course, in my case,
Sarah,
yeah.
For the time, we have 10 minutes. Do you want to quickly show like an Engage tab and how, related to the Mission Act, you're looking at, just the different waterfall flows of the topic profiles you're creating? Maybe we can close there and then we can leave a couple minutes for questions.
Yeah, that sounds great. So I just want to show the report option just so everyone understands. If you did want to set up that PDF report, you do need to go into reports and select the dashboard report option, and any dashboard that you created will automatically show in there. So it's very straightforward, and you can set it up to send out to people on a schedule. You can pick people that aren't users in Social Studio as well to receive that if you need to. So I just want to make sure everyone knows where to go. But jumping into Engage, we'll go ahead and we'll create that column so you do get the idea. Now, normally Engage, we would prioritize your own accounts. So that's what you're seeing here. For my accounts, we don't have anything in the queue right now, so everything's been dealt with. And this particular topic profile column, I'll actually edit. So I'll remove my fake travel company's data and pull in that VA Mission Act one. And I mentioned before, now you can only respond on Twitter. So some clients choose to remove the other media types. For instance, this is a blog. But if you did want to see everything, it is listed in here. But filtering, you would just click that cog on the top right and edit your media types to only show Twitter. So a lot of clients like to have this alongside of their social accounts, just to make sure that they are covering absolutely everything. So if you wanted to interact with this, you would go about the normal Engage process that you're used to and reply and apply any appropriate macros as well to the post.
Can you explain what a macro is?
Yeah, for sure. So macros are extremely helpful for a couple of reasons. One would be triaging posts. So if you had people that were dealing with certain categories of posts, you can use macros and it would push that post over to that particular person or team. The other thing is with reporting. So if you wanted to use macros to assign categories on a post, so you can see we have a few macros listed in here. So if it was a compliment, we would click compliment and it would apply several tags to this. It applies the compliment category label, the post label, and also it closes that post for us, meaning that we no longer need to see it in our column. We don't need to deal with it anymore. So you can run reporting on this at the end of the month, the quarter, to see out of all of the posts, how many fell under the compliment category versus complaint, how many were closed, who closed them. So there's lots of reporting that goes along with the macros as well. So 100% recommend using macros, and that alleviates the issues that can come up with going through the info column, because there's so much room for error going in here and adding things, and it takes so much more time than setting up macros. So I'm always happy to help with those if anyone is wondering.
Does that mean
I'm not sure if we actually have access to macros.
Anyone who is a super user or an admin of the workspace, I believe, would have access. If it shows the create new button, then it would take you to admin and it would show. So macros do apply across all workspaces. So you can use the same macros for multiple workspaces if you want to. A lot of clients prefer to do that. So there's consistency with the reporting. Yeah, it's up to you. Sorry, I think I missed a question in there though.
If you apply that macro to the tweet or the message, is that going to apply to all the subsequent retweets of that same message?
No, because every reply will come in as its own post in here.
And then to follow up, is there a way to filter out retweets in your feed?
Yeah, we actually would. So for that particular column, we can do that with the, at the topic profile level, there's a little trick that you can add in the topic profile. You would just add the letters RT in the exclude box, and that would remove all retweets for you.
But so it wouldn't be included in the sentiment then?
For that profile, yeah. So if you excluded all of those retweets and then ran sentiment, then yes, those would no longer be in there. Now, a lot of clients actually like to use the automation rule to automatically apply neutral sentiment to all retweets. That's something you can definitely look into as well.
Yeah, can I say something real quick about macros? We haven't really been using them much, but the one that I did create was for a, we don't actually have automate yet, so on our current plan, but there's a person on Facebook, I'm not going to say his name, but he comments constantly, and like they're very negative comments, and they're spam, basically. He's constantly spamming our posts. And since I can't really hide or block him yet, I don't really have approval to do that. I just have a macro that adds his author label and hides his posts. So I just click the macro and it like goes through and does that for me. So that's the one macro that I did set up.
Yeah, and what the author label does for anyone who's not familiar with them, it's these little purple ones. It's a little tracker. So it will give you the heads up the next time that person messages you or tweets you, whatever it is, it will show that label on them so you'll know, oh, this person's, we've dealt with this person before. You can go into their avatar and see any information, any notes that your team members have added, any interactions you've had with them.
Awesome. Now, take a breath, Tara, because that was a lot of information in a short time.
It's a lot of information, and in macros in itself, I mean, that's, in the workflow, that's a much larger, longer conversation, and we definitely want to do it right. So, you know, if you guys ever get to that point where you're ready to start incorporating, we're always here to help. But I know we only have a couple minutes left. Oh, yep.
I was going to say, for the sake of, like, say, a campaign, if there was, like, could we use a macro to, if there was a subject matter expert that was going to handle questions, like field questions about, say, the Mission Act, could I use a macro to route those questions to that person, or would I, like, would that be worthwhile?
Yeah, it definitely would. So you could add a macro that would include that post label of Mission Act, and then that person could have a column that's just filtered by Mission Act, and they would be able to just see those posts right away.
Sweet. Okay.
It's a great use case. Okay, any other questions?
Can you show the proximity again? I'm trying it on my side and I can't find that icon.
It's tricky. So anytime you add a term, it will only pop up if you add more than one keyword. So you do need to add 2 words technically in that term for it to pop up. And then once it pops up, you just need to click on the little squiggly line 0 twice for it to show you here. There we go. So if I added Mission Act, then see it adds it there, and I can just click on it twice, and then the slider will pop up. And that trick I was talking about before about removing retweets from a topic profile, you just add RT. Great. Any other questions? Okay, well, that's it for me.
Yeah, Tara, thank you so much. Great information. Thank you for being a wonderful resource for the VA.
My pleasure.
Powerful message we're looking to put out ongoing. And Dom, great job demonstrating within actually your environment. I think that's super beneficial. So, Dean, we walked everybody through all aspects from publishing to analyzing and engage. Feel free to send your questions for next month to Dom or myself. My name is Brett Shippey, and we'll make sure we incorporate what you're looking to get more information on into next month's webinar. So this will be recorded. This webinar was recorded, and it will be posted to that YouTube page that we talked about at the beginning of the webinar. So thanks, everybody. Have a great Mission Act Day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.